You're listening to the Voices of Winchester podcast, the show that brings your stories, our stories, and all the voices of Winchester right to your ears. Stick around for some great conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Voices of Winchester podcast. I have with me in the studio tonight Miss Lisa Bush. You know Lisa already. She's been on the podcast before. She writes for Win City Voices, and she's just a wonderful, wonderful member of our community here. And I'm very happy to have Lisa on. But before I talk to Lisa, I do want to apologize to those of you who enjoy our podcast. We've been away. Matter of fact, Lisa was the last one that I did back in the summer. Yeah. Talking about her book. Yeah. Talking about the book, Red Blood, White Ox, which, by the way, go back and listen to that if you haven't listened to it. It's a great book. It was a great podcast. But anyway, Lisa's back with us tonight. We've got other things we're going to talk about, and we're going to try our best to do at least one a month. We might do it more often than that, and we'll have a little more information about that just a little bit later in the podcast. First of all, I just want to welcome you back to the studio, Lisa. It's so good to see you. And this is kind of a new thing I'm doing. I'm going to try to feature some sort of local product or person with every podcast. And I've got my wonderful mug here from Dirty South Pottery that I love. And it says this might be bourbon, and sometimes it might be. Tonight it's only water, I promise you. But you never know what might be in my Dirty South Pottery mug. And they didn't pay me to say this, but get down there and visit Dirty South Pottery on Main Street. They got a wonderful shop. They make everything right there. And Ashley and Carville are wonderful people. And it's just, we went to a class down there one time, Lisa, Jennifer and I, my wife and I, and we tried to make our own pottery. We tried to make bowls. Yeah. And needless to say, we didn't keep them because they were horrible. We just said, just reuse this clay if you can use it.
It's amazing to watch.
We had a lot of fun. It is amazing to watch. And people that can do that just amaze me. Yeah. So Lisa, for those who may not be acquainted with you, maybe give us a little background about who you are, your history here in Winchester, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, well, I'm a lifelong resident of Winchester. I was born, actually, I like to introduce myself this way. I was born at the Grant Clinic, which is now the Bluegrass Heritage Museum. And I always say when the place of your birth becomes a museum, you know you've been there a long time. So I consider myself a vintage resident of Winchester.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I've lived here all my life. I've worked here off and on. I now currently work in Lexington. But yeah, I love my community. I love the people of Winchester, and really excited about some things we're doing.
And as I mentioned earlier, you are a writer for Win City Voices, as well as being a published author with your book. You got any plans for any other books?
Most writers, I found out, I thought this was just me. I thought I was just special. But most writers, it come to find out, have like several projects started that they haven't finished.
Yeah.
So I've got like 3 books started, and I've got like a whole plethora of short stories that have been started. So yes, when I can get back to it, I absolutely would love to get back into it. Right now, I've just been really busy and haven't been able to kind of follow up on some of that.
Thoroughly enjoyed the book, but you're working on some really important stuff right now. And let's go ahead and talk about that. So tell me about All Voices Reading Room, and let's just take off on that.
Sure. All Voices Reading Room it actually officially began June of 2024. As when we filed our articles of organization, and we're an incorporated nonprofit. So what it is, it's an inclusive library. Our mission is to make sure that all voices are being heard. So I started this out trying to bounce off ideas when I started seeing, and we're seeing it nationwide, but it's happening in Winchester as well. When I started seeing all this division within our community, and I started bouncing around ideas of how we can kind of try to reel things in and bring things together. And ended up landing on a reading room. And what inspired it was Willie Carver. And so Willie Carver, who's an author, he wrote Gay Poems for Red States. Mm-hmm. And an excellent book, by the way. Highly recommend it for anyone. It's a great book about Appalachia. It's a great book about being gay in Appalachia. It's just an amazing, amazing thing. And so I was following him, and I saw where he had started a library in Mount Sterling. And that just hit me in such a way, because I feel like education is the heart of part of these problems, not understanding a person.
I totally agree.
Or understanding what they're going through, or understanding who they are. Because when you don't understand something, that leads to fear, and fear tends to lead to anger. And I think that's why we're dealing with such a divisive society right now. These things that we're seeing, these controversial things we're seeing. So I went, and my advice to anyone who has something they want to do, whatever passion that might be, my advice to anyone is find people who are smarter than you. Find people who have been there, who have done it, who have, experienced it, and they can guide you. People love to talk about the things they're passionate about. Don't be afraid to ask. And I found that there are so many people in Winchester who were willing to sit down, not knowing me. They didn't know me. They didn't know me from Adam, surprisingly. I mean, how do you not know me? I'm a vintage resident. But, they'd never met me. And I sent out an email, or I gave them a call, and I said, hey, I've got this idea and I'd like to bounce it off of you. And they were, let's meet for coffee, and I had all these great conversations. And so when I first thought about this, I thought about like a cultural center. And I had thought, we'll include all kinds of different, marginalized groups, and we'll do, we'll include different religions. And it was just a really big idea. And it's still not a bad idea, but it takes a lot of money for big ideas. So as more I talk to people, the more I started realizing that, what we really are wanting to do is fill in a gap that might be in the community. And so, for example, one thing that I learned was that the Clark County Public Library has an amazing African-American literature section. Yeah. They have amazing African-American history. They are serving that community so well. So there's not really a gap there for me to fill. However, the LGBTQ community, a little bit of lacking going on there. Yes. And it's not that there's no literature there. It's not that there's nothing available, but it's not being cultivated in a way that we would like to see it cultivated. So what we want to do is fill in that gap. So we're really focusing on the LGBTQ community and trying to make sure that they see themselves in what we have. Because this is what it really boils down to, Pete. Regardless of your sexual identity, your sexual orientation, your color of your skin, the amount of money you bring home from your paycheck, it doesn't matter. We all pay taxes. And if you're going into an organization that is supported by your tax money and you don't see yourself there, there's a problem. And so if the public sector is not going to correct it, then the private sector will come in and work on it. And that's really what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. That's great. And you are 100% correct. I learned that, I was reminded of that very lesson today. The fact that if we want to serve our community, if we want to do something for our community, look for the gaps, look for places. Exactly. Don't try to duplicate something that's already available, right? Because we have a scarcity of resources as it is, right? So I was having a conversation with a friend today about a project that he and I are working on together, and he said, the great thing about this is we're going to provide something, and we're not quite ready to announce it yet, but he said, we're providing something where there is a desperate need. Yeah. And so that's, to me, that's the only way to go.
Right. Right? Exactly. Yeah. And we're not just going to be providing literature. We want to provide you. Of course, we want to have books, and we've got a lot of books that have been donated. It's amazing the donations we've been receiving. But we want to offer books that have characters and writers that have the same experiences and so forth as you do. But we also want to offer a support system. We're working on doing support groups. We're working on doing events to bring in community. Man, Emmanuel Episcopal Church. You want to put in Dirty South, I'm putting in Emmanuel Episcopal Church.
Yeah.
That place has anything I have talked to them about, they are on board.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to work with people who have so much love as community. And so they're offering up, so much support for us. So it's going to be a multifaceted organization.
Yeah. The thing, Emmanuel, I love that because I'm not a religious person myself.
Right.
And, but I'm going to tell you, I've got several good friends who attend Emmanuel, and you're right. They're good people, and they provide some valuable services to the community, and they do some things that some of the other churches won't do.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm really, really happy that they're in our community.
Oh yeah.
Now, Lisa, one of the things, and you and I have spoken before about this, I know that eventually you would like to have a permanent location downtown, preferably, for the All Voices Reading Room. But in the interim, you're doing some sort of makeshift pop-ups, that kind of thing. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah,
and what you got coming up.
Yeah, starting in January, we're going to do a pop-up library, and we're going to try to do them every 2 weeks. I'm going to be working with the Hall Coffee and Social Club because they have a great room back there that they allow vendors to go and do pop-ups with. So I'm going to start scheduling those. And the goal is to set up at least every 2 weeks. You can come in. We're going to have books set up. We're getting ready to purchase some portable shelves, and we're going to be setting up like a little library back there. You can come in, check out books. We're going to have a very archaic sign-out system, but you'll be able to take the books home and read them and bring them back and check out more, that'll start, like I said, about mid-January, and I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm learning again, when you talk to people who've been there, talk to people when you're doing something, talk to people who've been there because they have so much information. There's programs available. We might be closer to brick and mortar than we originally thought. So I'm really, I'm really hopeful for that.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
That would be
very
awesome.
very exciting stuff. But yeah, we'll be set up. And we're not going to just have we'll have nonfiction, we'll have fiction, we'll have young adult fiction. We're going to have children's books. I've got some children's books that have been donated that deal with diversity, they deal with inclusion, they deal with mental health, they anti-bullying. I mean, got a great children's collection of books. So it's really exciting. It's for everybody.
So it sounds like, although you're focusing primarily on the LGBTQ community, it sounds like it's broader than that, especially with the children's books, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Inclusiveness in general.
Yeah, it is. And this is the thing. We're offering so many of our books that we're offering are geared toward the LGBTQ community with LGBTQ characters, LGBTQ authors. But here's the thing. Just because it has LGBTQ characters, anybody can read it. It's not a gay love story. It's a love story. It's not a gay mystery.
Right.
It's a mystery,
Right.
I'm telling you, I grew up in a very conservative environment.
Same.
Okay. My church was extremely conservative. And so those things get ingrained in you. It's really hard to pull away from that. That's a huge process.
Yeah.
When you have had this fear instilled in you, which not all churches do that, but so many doctrines are rooted in fear, and hellfire and brimstone is a very fearful thing when you're a young person. And so,
or an older person.
Yeah, it's fearful for everyone. It's a real thing. People talk about. I had a friend of mine that used to talk about Catholic guilt. She goes, I know this is wrong, but it's Catholic guilt, And I said, have you been a Baptist? Yeah, we're
Right.
just like the redneck version of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a there's a that's really ingrained into you, and so for the very early part of my life, even though I had all these questions, I never dared speak them out loud. How can God be love if He doesn't love these people? Or what? That doesn't make sense to me, but I don't understand. I'm afraid to ask. And so as I became an adult and started talking to people and learning, making friends who were members of the gay community, or and they started actually showing it. Will and Grace, remember the sitcom Will
Yeah.
and Grace?
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
was huge,
Yeah.
to really start to show that this is okay, and so that's the hope, if you start seeing these things, reading them, experiencing them, you're going to begin to understand. And as you understand, you don't have the fear, and you start learning to love and accept, and
One other thing before we move on to something else that I wanted to ask you about is, what can folks do right now to help you? I know you're still looking for more books. You're probably looking for money.
Of course.
Tell me what message you'd like to get through to the people of Clark County.
Well, I mean, of course, anytime you're a nonprofit, you're constantly fundraising and looking for money. You're constantly asking for money. That's part of it. And books, book donations are amazing. Anything that's LGBTQ characters or written by LGBTQ authors would be great.
And you have an Amazon list, don't you?
I have an Amazon wish list, and it's on my Facebook page.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a special interest books, political, like books about politics. I have some great books about like social systems and classism, and those kinds of books are great. Women's feminism, those, anything like that. Any donation, though, I will state, we reserve the right to move on to another organization if it doesn't fit our goals.
Mm-hmm.
So if you donate a book and it doesn't fit our goals, we might donate that on to another organization that might fit better.
Yeah.
But I do have a wish list, Amazon wish list, and it's something that's going to be continuing to add on to and everything. And that is on the Facebook page. And that's okay. That is something I would really love, is if people could share our Facebook page so that so people in the community really know. I mean, there's a lot of people that know about us. We set up at the Pride Festival downtown back in October. People are really excited. Manuel Episcopal, of course, people there all know about it. But we really need to get to the people who may not realize that we're coming in, we're coming in hot. so, if you can like and share our Facebook page and let people just kind of know we're here and we're offering the service, that would be awesome. And that's free. Yeah.
And I will provide links to your Facebook page in the show notes so folks can see that. Okay. And we may do a little article about it on Wind City Voices as well, so folks will know about it. Anything else you want to say about All Voices Reading Room before we move on?
No, just tell people. Just tell people we're here, and follow us on Facebook so you know the things that we have coming up, because we're going to be setting up some events, and it'll be exciting. Don't want you to miss it.
Sounds good, Lisa. So the next thing that we wanted to talk about this evening is, because I alluded to earlier that we're going to be doing more podcasts. Yeah. And one of the reasons why we're going to be doing more podcasts is because Lisa is going to be hosting, I think, 3 upcoming podcasts. Yeah. Tell us about that. Tell us about the folks, as much as you can say about the folks you're going to be interviewing and topics.
Yeah, I am. First of all, I'm super excited, and thank you all for allowing me to do this, because I have always wanted to do a podcast. I've always wanted to do it and haven't stepped out and done it yet. So this allows me to get my feet wet and see if it's something that, we could do. But I've got 3 guests that have agreed to come on and be interviewed, and they're all from the LGBTQ community. So I think it's a great way for people to. It's so easy to have an opinion about something or about a person when they're just a vague shadow of a thing.
Yeah.
But when you actually meet someone and hear their story and learn what they're about, that puts a different thought. It hits different, and so that's my goal, is to get people to meet some of the members of our community and listen to their stories, because they have such interesting ones to tell. My first guest is she is a transgender woman who lives in Irvine but works here in Winchester. She's a successful cosmetologist here in Winchester area. She has this amazing story about what it's like growing up in an extremely rural area of Kentucky as a transgender child. I had someone the other day say there's no such thing as transgender kids. Oh, you just wait. You're going to learn a lot in that episode, because there is. And
that's like the people that say, I don't know any gay people. Yeah, you do. You might not know it, but yeah, you know.
may not know they're gay.
That's right.
Do you know gay people? So, yeah. So she's, her story when she was young and growing up in the school system and being different.
Sure.
Not being your average boy. Okay. The school system studied her from the time she was in second grade till the time she was in fifth grade, until she was old enough to say, I don't want to do this anymore. Every week they brought her in and asked her questions of why this, or what do you think about that, and interviewed her. Now this, of course, keep in mind too, Pete, this is in the 90s, 80s and 90s. So a little different time, probably not the same, definitely not the same protections we have now for a child, but no parental permission was given. But also not just that, is her dad is was a grizzly bear of a man. Okay. Grizzly bear of a man. And like to fix Harleys, tough dude. Having to, his maneuvering of having this feminine son and not knowing how, not understanding it, not understanding leads to fear leads to anger. Yeah. And there's this, this relationship, that chemistry that happens. But, people can change. And I think that's an important story to tell. So that'll be our first episode. Second episode, we're going to be talking to a local man who considers himself a super Christian. And he's a gay man married to his husband, also lives here in the community, and grew up in an extremely conservative church that told you you're going to hell if you're homosexual, blah, 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 blah. And listen to that in very formative years, still loves God and didn't allow the church to take away his spirituality. And the thing is, it's not going to be an episode about pushing religion. It's an episode about not letting someone take away what's important to you.
Yeah.
And man, I'm excited about this one. I'm excited about all of them. Let's be honest. But I'm excited.
It shows, Lisa. It shows that you're excited.
It shows, yeah. I'm like, but
nothing wrong with that.
But I love conversations with this guest, because I always walk away feeling like I walked away smarter, And so I can't wait. There's so much wisdom in his message, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I know the gentleman you're speaking of, and I feel the same way. I just love chatting with him.
He has no idea. He's too humble to realize it.
He is.
He is an extremely influential person.
Yeah.
And then the third one is she's a woman who is engaged to another woman. She lived for 23 years. I think it was 20, 21, 23 years, something like that. She was married to a man. Never thought about being, that she was gay or had any kind of feelings toward women, until her marriage was kind of breaking down. It wasn't bad. It was just kind of not great. And she met her now fiance. And she said, I can't explain it. I just knew that when I met her, I loved her, and I love her with everything in me. And so we're going to talk about how our sexuality can be fluid and how it's not necessarily set in stone. And I think a lot of that has to do with our own discovery as we grow. We discover new things about ourselves. And when we find a connection, it's okay, And so it's okay to have a connection with someone that you didn't know you would have a connection with.
Yeah.
And maybe think, like you and I talked about it before, where you said it's kind of a spectrum. Our sexuality can be a bit of a spectrum. Yes. And I truly believe that.
I do too.
Believe that.
I don't just believe it, but science backs it up.
Exactly.
And experience backs it up. And it's, it's plain as the nose 100%. On your face if you'll pay attention and kind of try to, get rid of preconceived notions and just look at the world. And I really like something you said earlier about, and I call it hypothetical people. It's easy to hate on hypothetical people. Mm-hmm. It's much more difficult to hate on real people. Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem that we face today is there's much less person-to-person interaction. We're interacting on social media. We're interacting, in different ways. And it's so much easier to sit at a keyboard and type out, hate. Than, so
there's no face there. There's no face there.
So I love what you're doing. I really hope these podcasts get a lot of play. I love the fact that you've chosen 3 people with very different backgrounds, very different identities, but they're all members of the LGBTQ community, and they have different stories to tell. And I just can't wait to hear those stories. It's going to be great.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. That was my goal, is to make sure we're dealing with different aspects of the community. So, we're dealing with someone who's transgender living in a rural community. We're dealing with someone who's their spiritual self is just so strong, because so many people I've talked to have dealt with abuse from the church, and it's really broken them, broken their spirit. And so, to hear his story, I think it's going to be very healing for a lot of people. So I love the fact that they're all different subject matter.
Yeah, that's great. Before we wrap it up, is there anything else you'd like to talk about, or anything? Is there a question I should have asked that I didn't?
No, just listen to this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Click on it.
Thank you for listening to the Voices of Winchester podcast. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us now on YouTube at Win City Voices. And for even more content, head over to wincityvoices.org, our e-magazine, where we feature some of the best local writers and artists. And stay up to date on everything Win City Media. Follow us on Facebook at Win City Voices. This podcast is brought to you by Win City Media, a 501c3 nonprofit. We're 100% supported by listeners and readers like you. Thank you for your support.